Hello, in this video I've been making some brushes for Background Designer, and you basically see here I've been using the kind of colour mix, so red, green and blue, to define what colours are going to be swapped out for new colours. And here's some brushes that I've made using a whiteboard and basically processed all these images in Photoshop, and I'm going to bring them into Background Designer via Game Maker. This is the SDK software development kit that I'm using to create Background Designer. The same software that I use to create Blitpaint and Hairstrand Designer. It's very good for basically putting pixels on the screen. Pixel perfect, there's no weird camera or ratios to worry about like with Unity or Unreal Engine. It's just like very old school vibe where you can control exactly what goes to the screen, and I've made this tool to make art. So I'm just going to go ahead and make these sprites happen, but I'll show you a couple here to give you an idea what happens. So in here I've got my mountain 3, and you can see I've got this black tone, pure blue, red being added with blue so that they mix, and also some green, and in some cases being mixed together. And what that allows is for me to then swap these colours out for something new. So if I run this little bit of software, by the way, you can get this software on itch. If you search for Blitpaint or Background Designer, you'll see you can basically play it for free because it's still in alpha and I'm testing some things. So I was putting a little bit of sky here and make something kind of interesting. Okay, and maybe just a little bit lighter. Yeah, something like that. Some clouds and things. I'm going to grab that mountain 3 that you saw, and you can see right away how these colours swap out. Now if I turn these back the way they were, so I think it was red, then blue, then black, then blue, then red, then green. That's exactly the sprite that I've put into it, and then basically I'm swapping these out just like you saw me do just there, and I can swap them for anything I want. I can change the base to like a dark brown. This blue tone, I can alt click and choose that one and make it a little brighter. Let's alt click that one and make it a little brighter and change the hue a bit, and then alt click and make this one even more different, and really kind of push these about to see what kind of tonal range I can get. And maybe I don't even want this bottom part, so I'm just going to like reduce it this way. That takes it out completely because these colours are adding up, so they're in additive mode of each other. It's like I can fade them out completely and get a unique look. Can taper some out, and basically left with this, and that just works with this scene pretty nicely. So I plotted that down, and then I can go in and put some extra things in there. I quite like the land one, this one, for adding some details, even though this is designed for like a foreground land or something. I like just to rotate it using E, and then if you press tab a few times it will try and pick some local colours. If you're struggling with that, you just choose a colour, alt click what you want, control click that colour, and it will put it on each other one. It only works with this base colour right now, but I might make it so that if you control click this one, it would send it to the other swatches as well. But for now, it's just there. And if I press 5, I'll go half opacity, and I can just like plot in some little highlights there, kind of Bob Ross style. It's kind of like having your brush and just carefully placing these down. Everything's just sprites being plotted. You can see this plot count is 22 used out of 2048 is the limit, and that should be more than enough for what you need. I'm going to make an even brighter highlight there, and just make some little edge highlights, and go back a bit here. I'm going to choose a nice sky I've got some various clouds, and you can see that I've got room to bring even more in here, and I'm also going to make it so you can mouse wheel and scroll these up and down, so there'll be tons and tons of brushes by the time I've got this ready for release. So here you can see I can change all these tones. One of the tones deals with the actual sun itself, and basically I'm just going to change these out until the sun color changes. Not that one. Okay, so it's this one, and I'm going to make that kind of yellowish. In fact, let's make it quite orangey, like that. And then I'm going to bring these ones out. And now I don't really want that blue tone, so I'm going to change this to a transparent mode. And you can see I've got this really ambient looking sun. I'm going to add one about 40% behind that layer, and then go maybe in front and just add that in again. And then I could choose one of the shapes. I've got some circles here. I think I've got a soft circle somewhere. Maybe I've not added it in yet. I think maybe this one. Yeah, because I've changed this. Okay, so I'm going to change that. Alt click this color and just make it quite big. Press 2 for a little bit of opacity. Make it even bigger. And then I'm going to make it quite small and really boost that up. So I'll change all that to be full bright, 9 to get full shebang there, and go to layer 12 just so I can control it through the layer later. So I'll do that a couple of times, and now if I right click the layer I can choose how much I want that to be seen, and that looks pretty cool. I'm going to go back to the land and do a little bit more work with this. So I'm just using E to rotate, and I just want to kind of do a little highlight edge like that. Okay, and just a few little bits here and there, and that looks pretty cool. So that's basically the way to use Background Designer, and why I make these images, these brushes based in 3 colors. So black is the base color, and then there's 3 extra colors you can put into the brush. Now it's quite unique because you can't do that kind of thing in Photoshop, and it just makes it much more usable for making loads of different kinds of art. And later I'm going to make it so that you can do other cool stuff. One feature I've been working on is making everything work the same tone. So if you press F3, everything will adopt these colors, and everything gets the same kind of tonal work. Just the blend modes might change per brush. So you can do that if you want everything to look kind of the same. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. So I'm going to press F3 to get back to where we were. It's kind of an experimental thing in case you want to stylize it a bit. See if I can make it all kind of black and white. Yeah, you get a funky looking effect. I'm going to store the background and then right click this one, and yeah, get something pretty unique there. So F3 will bring that back, and then basically right clicking will recall that sky. So you can store different grayscale values, whatever you want. So I could pick that color, this color, maybe there, and then like a highlight or something like that, and then click left click here, and I've stored that color range. And you see if I bring in a tree or something, let's just make sure that we've got all these up. You can press F2 to reset those. Let's go over a layer in front, and you can see I've got a tree in there. Control click this, so send it to all the colors, and I can darken some of these. Now later I'm going to give you the ability to make your own brushes within Background Designer, as well as import your own ones, but you should really follow that system that I've created for the effect to work. I'm just going to click that a couple of times, and basically press B to hide the brush and P to put on parallax, and it gives you an idea of the kind of parallax scrolling that you might get if you were to put this in a game with different layers. W will enable wrap mode so that you can see the tileability down below here, as well as, let's just turn parallax off, as well as when you place a brush down, press B to turn on the brushes, it now wraps round, so W will toggle that, so it will kind of make this mountain appear there as well, because it's going to assume you want a kind of repeated tileable background. So that's pretty cool, and I hope you enjoy this little video and you can make good use of this software. I'll keep working on some brushes. If there's any artists out there that want to make brushes, please get in touch. I'd love to have your brushes in here and use that same system. So I'm going to switch over to Photoshop and show you how I make these. So basically, like, I've hand drawn these ones, and if I just go to new document, I'll make, doesn't matter what size, I'd say something about 600 pixels is good. You can go even bigger than that depending on the detail you want. I'm going to take away the background, so I'll just ditch that and left with the transparent, and you just draw your silhouette of whatever it is you want to make. So if you were making a tree, just, you know, draw in a kind of silhouette form to start with. So silhouette just basically means the black shadow outline of something. It's kind of like if you were standing right in front of the sun isn't really hitting the back of you, so you just look completely in shadow. And there's no other light source there, so this whole thing would just become black. Right, something like that. I'm just going to copy and paste a few times to make sure this is solid. And then I'm going to merge those layers, and then I'll lock the pixels. So wherever I brush, basically, it only brushes where there's pixels. Right, make that bigger. And if I now paint with blue, this is going to be kind of like that second color. So we can make this any color we want. We can make the black any color we want. And then red, and I'm going to switch that. Make sure this is on additive, by the way. Whether you do it through a layer, make sure your layer's on additive, or the brush is on additive, because we want to keep what's below intact. If I paint with pure red, I'm going to replace, and I don't want that. I want to keep both. So I'll have that, and then I go to green. So these are the three channels. The red, green and blue act as masks. I'm just making sure that green is the full value there, and now I can do some cool stripes or something on this. Again, I'm in additive mode, so it's adding to the colors that are already there. So you see sometimes it looks white. It's kind of like a magic pen or something, you know, those felt tips you used to get, and you'd mix them together and make a new color. Kind of like that, but much simpler to understand. They only ever make the same kind of color, red, green and blue. So put some stripes on it in case I wanted that. Now if I just crop that up, and I was to export this, I'll just call this demo tree or something. You guys, if you make up brushes like this and send them to me, I'll put them into Background Designer, and if you want, I can, you know, allow people to use your brush in here. Later we can talk about, you know, selling your brushes and making brush packs up that are designed for this tool. I'd love that. So let's just see what that's going to look like. I'm just going to escape out of this. I'm going to lose everything. It looks pretty cool, right? Let's not lose everything. Let me save all but the tree. Where's the tree? So I'm just going to hover over these layers. There's the tree there. I'm going to work on making these layers nameable as well. So that's quite a nice background. I'm just going to save that as one of my alpha art. Nice backdrop. Don't want to lose everything completely, because these can definitely be used, and I'll be selling like packs of these. I'll touch them up in Photoshop a bit, just areas where it's not quite done everything I want. Maybe add some water here. That would be pretty awesome. So you can take this as far as you want, give it to an artist and let them finish it off. Okay, so I'm going to quit out of that. I'm going to go back to Game Maker. Again, this isn't important, but I'll give you guys the ability to import your own brushes later. This is only an alpha right now, so there's a lot of testing getting done. Let's go for trees. I'm going to add a new tree, so create a sprite for me. S demo tree, and I'm going to import my demo tree. Let's make sure the pivot is in the center here. Again, all of this will be automated for you. I'll do it so that you don't have to have Game Maker. You'd need to have the whole project as well, but I'm not giving it away that easy. Let's see, so I'll go to my brushes. So it's a script that loads in brushes, or kind of assigns them to a list, brush list, and I'll go to my trees. I'm just going to copy that part and then increase the value, and this will be demo tree. So when I run this now, I should have an extra tree. Takes a little while to load. I'm going to add a new brush. It's making up texture pages. Alright, cool. So there we go, there's a demo tree, and you can see it no longer looks the same as in Photoshop. We still have like the 3 channels. If I click on red, that's where I've placed red, green is like that, and blue is like that. So I will show you how all this works. So let me just make that kind of reddish. Sorry, make that bluish because that's the blue tones. It tells me there blue tones get swapped for this color, red tones get swapped for this color, and green tones. Okay, those look good. Right, so I can basically turn these off and I'd be left with the base color. Let's change that for kind of dark blue. Okay, so there is that with these sort of lerped off, and I can add in this blue, then I add in the orange, then add in the green, right? And I can even take away the orange and the blue and be left with this kind of design. Add a mix, a kind of subtle mix of each, and not just that, I can basically now press tab and change the colours up whatever way I like. So tab, 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 and basically, yeah, make loads of different looks, whatever I want, make up my own colours, go for something crazy, vibrant. And then you can make a whole image up this way. I'm just going to make this kind of like a dark purple, and this maybe like a light something, and just go kind of mad and make cool stuff. So I'll rotate, make a kind of tree starflake type of thing. Scale it down a bit, rotate it. I'll press X to flip it the other way. And that's a pretty funky looking shape. So this pretty much borrows a lot from Blitpaint. The way you can make your own brushes in Blitpaint is kind of like this. In fact, I recommend using Blitpaint to create your own initial brushes, because it's got a lot of the features that Photoshop has, like erase, alpha locking, additive. So when you buy, or when you get background designer, you get Blitpaint as well. They're actually free. You can donate if you want, but it's all free right now whilst this is an alpha, and Blitpaint is just a little project that I just happened to be working on, and I took it as far as I could get, and it's up to you if you want to donate some money for the hard work I've put in, but I don't mind, to be honest. So yeah, I can make a nice funky backdrop. I can export this into Photoshop and do something with it. If you don't use Photoshop, you might use any alternative, free alternatives like GIMP. But there we go, so I've done that, and that's all good. I can press F3 to see things in a different color. That affects everything that I've drawn, by the way. So F3 kind of does that, and maybe I want to try things in a different tone before I move on. Take away the blue, let's make this look more fiery, change the sky. Yeah, so it's good fun, especially if you're young and you want to get into art. There's all sorts of cool stuff here that you can just plot around like stickers. And you know, it reminds me of when I was younger, when you get these sticker albums, you can put things wherever you want and make your own pictures really easy. So yeah, definitely recommend it to the youngsters as well. Thanks for watching this video, I'll catch you in the next one.